Everybody, welcome back. I'm here and back with a little more vintage, and welcome to Jackass or something. So tonight you're all gonna follow me down a rabbit hole, because I have been thinking about this for a while and chatting with a few different friends about it, and so I finally decided we're just gonna give it a go. So this is Vintage Blue-White Initiative. So, we played Mono White Initiative on the stream before. We kind of all get how that works. So the idea behind that, while Force of Will, Ancestral Recall, and Time Walk are all fantastic, like that's all well and fine. The real notion here was that in that deck list we were playing things like Spirit of the Labyrinth, which, while good, has some downsides to it. First off, it is only a 3/1. Second, it's an enchantment, which means it's disruptible by Force of Vigor. There were just some things about that we didn't love. So I thought, what if we replace that with Hull Breacher? Okay. So Spirit is Hull Breacher. Great. What else can we do here? Well, Lavinia Azorius Renegade confirmed good Magic the Gathering card in Vintage. So Lavinia took over the slot of Thalia here, in that Lavinia says that she's going to slow her opponent down much like Thalia would. In fact, totally shutting off some cards in their deck. So then we had Lavinia and Hullbreacher. And I said, well, if we're already playing blue sources, we're probably just playing Ancestral and Time Walk. So they got that into the deck. And then it was like, okay, what else can we add to this and kind of manipulate here to maybe support Force of Will? And one of the things that came to mind was True Name Nemesis. This is a card that I think is going to be very powerful in Initiative Mirrors, where our opponents are going to have a very, very difficult time maintaining the initiative if we have a True Name. Because this thing is going to attack past everything every single turn. And with a White Plume Adventure, we can actually just untap this, and then it becomes a brick wall, just blocking everything. Should be spicy indeed. So then we had Ancestral, Lavinia, Time Walk, Hullbreacher, True Name Nemesis, and I was like, okay, we're getting pretty close to Force of Will numbers here. So we threw the Force of Wills in, and I said, okay, are there any other upgrades that we can make? And one of the constant problems I have, one of the things I've been pretty bothered by about Mono White is that the Mono White Initiative list has a hard time answering random permanents. Not necessarily creatures, but permanents, artifacts, enchantments, things like that. Sure, we have a One of Lauren, and that was all fine and well, but there are sometimes we just need to answer a permanent. So then I thought, Deputy of Detention seems like a pretty good way to answer a permanent. And in fact, sometimes more than one permanent. Sometimes we're going to answer a whole bunch of permanents, including Urza Saga Construct tokens, which is pretty interesting. And then we just had a couple of spaces to fill, and Tenarms and I, in fact, hello Tenarms, welcome to the stream, were talking, and we had kind of talked about how Malevolent, it started as a joke, talking about how another prominent Vintage player is known for sleeping at things like Malevolent Hermit, and I went, maybe that's not actually that bad. So what Malevolent Hermit offers that's actually kind of interesting here is it is a creature that we can put in off of our Cavern of Souls, so it can be uncounterable, but then we can turn it into a counterspell. That's pretty interesting. And then on the back side, non-creature spells we control can't be countered. So then it goes from being a 2/1 that essentially mana leaks something, to then being a 2/2 flyer that says all of our Force of Wills are the last word in an argument, our Ancestral just resolves, our Time Walk just resolves, and this seemed like a pretty appealing notion. So we have two Malevolent Hermits. Then what was important here was trying to figure out the mana base, and the first thing I knew right off the get was that we are not a deck that can play Ancient Tomb successfully. So we have cards like Lavinia, Hermit, True Name, Deputy of Detention, Ancestral. There's just things that Ancient Tomb doesn't help us with. And by putting 4 Ancient Tomb in the deck, that can create some serious issues. So we started by removing all the Ancient Tombs. Just said that we can't do that. But we still needed to try to figure out how we were going to leverage, mana advantage to get these cards out ahead of curve. So we played a full set of Moxes and a Black Lotus. And then I decided to play 3 copies of Chromox and a Lotus Petal in order to facilitate some additional fast mana. So, on top of 4 Cavern of Souls, 4 Tundra, our 4 Wastelands, Strip Mine, we have all of this fast mana, 3 basic lands in single basic island, double basic plains. Basic plains here because we have things like Lavinia, Archon, Seasoned Dungeoneer. We have cards that are going to require white mana, and probably a slightly higher density of them, given that we're not really ever paying blue mana for Force of Will, so it doesn't really count. And then finally, the mono-white list that we've been playing, for the longest time, had 2 Karakas in it. And I said, well, 2 Karakas is great and all, but is there a blue utility land that's going to offer us something that maybe the Karakas isn't? And that was when I thought of Otawara. So Otawara is a land that we can use to just make blue mana, or we can kind of shift that around and it has the ability to bounce something. And we happen to have a couple of legends in our deck, so it's not unreasonable that maybe this gets reduced by a mana or something. So Otawara seemed pretty good. Finally, we have 2 copies of Swords to Plowshares in the deck. I wanted some way to answer a creature in game 1. Deputy is fantastic, but Deputy is really here for other things. So my brain said, okay, well, we have to have some way to answer problematic creatures. Great. Toss a couple of Plow. Then we move over to the sideboard. I said, okay, how are we facilitating, like, what is it that we want to do differently here? I guess, and really, it started as, what do we keep the same? Stony Silence, fantastic. Stony has been very, very, very good for us. I opted to keep Stony. I think it is better than Null Rod the vast majority of the time. Most of the Mono-White initiative lists that have started playing Null Rod have done so because of the presence of Ancient Tomb. We've removed that from the equation. Fantastic. Then we have Mindbreak Trap. I think Mindbreak Trap is just great. It is going to help support our Force of Wills in making sure we just don't die on turn 1. Then I included the 2 Containment Priests. This card is just good. It is good against the Bazaar decks. It is a totally reasonable thing that you can do when your opponent is trying to tinker for a creature. Priest seemed great. Then we have 2 Swords to Plowshares to round out the full set here. Again, sometimes we just need to remove more creatures. And then there were some other slots. So I said, well, honestly, I think that better than Surgical, I think I just want to play Tabernacle. The mono-white list has I've had a particularly difficult time against Squee and Dredge, and I figured Tabernacle is a pretty good way to remedy that issue, so we're playing 2 Tabernacle in the sideboard. Even Mind Sensor is a card that we can bring in against various Tinker decks to shut off all of the tutoring. They're just not going to be able to resolve their tutors in a meaningful way in the presence of an even Mind Sensor. Also the same for Urza Saga. I grabbed us a second Deputy of Detention. Again, this is a nod to the fact that I've been a little flustered that Mono-White just has so many problems answering random permanents. So I just wanted another thing that was going to be able to help clean up random shenanigans for us. Trinispheres, Sphere of Resistance, things like that. So Deputy seemed like a pretty good add here. And then finally, the 3rd Malevolent Hermit is in the sideboard. In the situations where we're looking, where maybe it's important that we're resolving our non-creature spells. Things like Fast Mana, Ancestral, Force of Will, Time Walk, maybe Plows, something like that, where these things resolving is important. We can bring in another copy of Malevolent Hermit which also serves as another pitch card for Force of Will. So that's fantastic. So that is kind of where I was going into all this. Also, shout out to fan of the stream, Walrus Galt, who I ran into in the vintage tournament practice room last night, who helped me kind of through a game. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you for your support. So I ran into Walrus Galt last night when I was kind of playing, and so one of the things that I'm thinking about, and this is just kind of something to keep in mind, in 10 Rooms and I've talked about Malevolent Hermit kind of not being at its best here, but I did think about including a single copy of Jace Vryn's Prodigy, having JVP to help filter dead lands, extra lands, and things into meaningful spells. Pretty great. Having JVP to turn creatures at points where we need or creatures when we need mana. Pretty great. So JVP is on my mind and may eventually make the cut. Also, I have been thinking about things like Mental Misstep. Misstep is pretty free in this deck, and is not something I would hate having, so Misstep is also on my mind here. So, just a few things that I wanted to kind of cover going into this. Now, without any further ado, we're going to jump into a league here, but before we do, I'm going to go ahead and pop this beer. This is the rest of the Oud Riesling Tilken, which is a Belgian lambic mixed with grape juice from Riesling grapes, used to make Riesling wines. And yeah, I wanted to kill this bottle. I've had it since like Thanksgiving. So cheers, everyone. Let's go ahead and dive into a league that will likely result in me burning a bunch of play points unnecessarily. So here we go. I hope everyone is having a fantastic week so far. It feels like the week is just starting, but my week has actually ended. I am taking some time off work to enjoy some downtime with my birthday and the holiday. So I am very, very, very excited to have a relaxing next few days. Colin, one of these days, what we're going to have to do is, since you are so high on the notion of playing mono red, we'll have to get you on here and we can co-pilot a mono red stream together. We'll just have to figure out timing and what exactly we want to be doing with all of our basic mountains. I know that for a time, people were looking at playing Moon Stompy and Vintage, which actually seems pretty interesting, and I don't hate it. So maybe I can try to cop a mono red Moon Stompy Vintage list if you're interested. No, hello and welcome. Appreciate you. Yoko1, thank you for joining. Glad to see so many familiar faces in chat. Also, for anyone who wants to heckle me, yes, you really should put your lambic in a nice bottle. There will be some sediment when I get to the bottom of this bottle. I don't care. It's delightful. Paper magic? What's a paper magic, Travis? I'm not familiar with this notion. You mean they make Magic the Gathering cards like physical objects? No way. Sounds fake. So I guess this is the disclaimer at the beginning of the stream. The handful of games I played in the tournament practice room last night did not go particularly well. I think that there might be some flaws in the construction of this list. But I will, I wanted to give it a shot anyway. This has been something that has been like burrowing through my brain for a while now. And I want to give it a shot, get some solid testing in and see how I feel about it. I love both of you so much right now. For anyone watching on YouTube, apparently can't buy any more paper cards for a while. Had to order my Trump NFTs, followed by I was really hoping those were paper. Understood. Okay. You're a wizard. I'm gonna keep this. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna name human. Play this Mox. My opponent has spell-pierced my Mox Jet. I understand. Don't you conjure that into being, Travis. I want no part of this. Also, probably you did this to us, Travis. This is your fault now. Oh, yeah, I noticed that Mike is... Okay. Thank you, not me. Appreciated. So this is the weird thing that happens, is it just kind of randomly decides that it feels like being particularly difficult, and I could not tell you why. Okay. That is... Utters the Saga. That is a manifold key. That's hilarious. Also, I want to note, opponent is just vampiric tutoring for something with this uncounterable Malevolent Hermit on the stack, which has the ability to mana leak any random dumb thing they get. It's going to be so good. Like, I love it when an opponent doesn't read the card. That's so good for us. Set up the Hate Bears. Chris, I can probably help you with this whole venture. Get at me after the stream. We have ways. I have the technology. Also, 10 arms, I want that counted right now. Malevolent Hermit did something. Malevolent Hermit did something, and it was something good. That is 1 point for the Malevolent Hermits we weren't sure were even good in the deck. That's right, Ten Arms, you're my official data human now. I also really liked that. That was very good. I also loved that opponent vamped with it on the stack, like they knew it was coming, and they still just did it anyway. I've never felt so good about something like that in my entire life. Yup. Okay. That one's pretty good. So this one is going to name Cleric, I guess? It doesn't matter. I'm actually going to name Wizard? I'm going to name Wizard. And then we're going to go this one, this one, this one. You are my official data human. I don't actually expect that to be real, but it sounded pretty funny in the moment since you're the number cruncher and I'm really not. I kind of figured you might be. That does seem like your MO after all. I want nothing more in my life than to draw a wasteland right now. Oh my god. How are we so good at this game? I'm gonna play Malevolent Hermit from Graveyard. This is blue mana for wizards. I'm kind of upset at how good this looks because it did not look this good last night. Yes. Okay. Okay, opponent has ending to my Lavinia. This is fine. Black Lotus has resolved. So we're dead here, but I'm gonna make opponent show me an actual win condition. The big part of why I'm making opponent show me a win condition is because I want to know what their win conditions are, so I know how best to fight it. Yeah. This is all fine. So opponent is on a Teferi build. Get Demonic Tutor. Demonic Tutor finds what? Opponent has pitched Tinker for seemingly no reason at all. Okay, that is a win condition I will concede. Alright, so I want to take this Deputy. I also want these Stonies. And I don't hate traps. Maybe I don't need traps on the play. Actually, I'm going to take traps anyway. I do want to keep these couple of plows. Shave this. Should bring in 2 traps, I guess. Chris, get a hold of me after the stream. We can work something out. It will not be a particularly difficult challenge. We're going to play this a little slower, and the reason that we're going to play this slower is because I would kind of like to play this Malevolent Hermit on 2 with a pedal to back it. Oh, I am not at all surprised. Okay. Lavinia Azorius Renegade has resolved. Ancestral Recall. I understand. Friends, we're going to get this Ancestral Recall, and it's going to be glorious. Okay, there's a Mox Pearl. Is it a Tinker? Treasure Cruise. Okay. I don't know, Ten Arms. Opponent just keeps throwing spells into these hermits. I just don't think they've read the card. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I just do not think opponent has read Malevolent Hermit. I agree with you. Ah! That's not what I wanted at all. Uh-oh. We clicked through a thing we shouldn't have clicked through. I goofed. Time walk, yes. Yes. Okay. I'm really confused at what's going on right now. Opponent just cracked their Lotus for triple black in my end step to vamp. Or in my main to vamp. Sure. Tinker, yes. This is Tinker for Citadel. Land for turn is Urza Saga, sure. Okay. I mean, that's annoying. Interesting. I mean, that's fine. I'm not sure why that was a thing you did right there, but okay. Opponent is making a lot of very strange choices here, and I don't quite understand, but I'm going to let them happen. This loses a lot of value right now because of the presence of this Archon. Sure. So the reason I want to resolve this Geist here is because if I resolve this Geist, then the Stony just resolves. And this is setting us up for a better long game. Okay, they somehow had access to another Teferi. Opponent's list is a little wild, but I guess. We're just dead? We're just dead. Cool. Okay, I mean... I feel like with the way opponent was playing, if we were on any, like, established pile of Magic the Gathering cards in the Vintage format, we win that game. Opponent was just making some really odd plays. The way that they were casting certain things into known counter magic and things like that was just really strange, but such is the life when you're testing things. So, womp womp, on we go. Yeah, I don't... Alright. Opponent was last seen 2 days ago on Squee. Sure. Do we hedge our bets towards them still being on Squee? Father, I need an adult. Like, I want to keep this. I think I'm just going to keep this. Also, I want to note here, there are an equal number of Cavernous Souls as there are Tundra, and somehow we've seen infinitely more Cavernous Souls than we have Tundra. Okay. Opponent has mulled a 5. This feels like a deck that contains... This is a deck that contains Bazaar of Baghdad. Say, mulling to 5 feels like a thing that would happen in a deck that contains Bazaar of Baghdad. Okay. My god, opponent, you are going to be so upset when that doesn't do anything. Okay. So opponent is confirmed still on squee. Right? Wow. It's not even about always have the vigor. Its opponent's hand did nothing and they still kept it. I mean, that's a hard gamble, friend. That is a hard gamble. Sure, this resolves. Oh, it was 100% what does this card do? I'm channeling my inner Brian Kelly right now. This is our game plan, friends. We're gonna beat down with a 2-1 and wasteland them and make them 2 for 1 themselves. Let's go. Squee, Vengevine, Bloodghast. There's a hollow one, sure. We have a second hollow one, which will get them a Vengevine. Wasteland, play Strip Mine. All right. What we need here is Black Lotus, an opponent to not have Force of Will. We have lost the game. Okay. Hermit feels pretty weak. We're gonna shave some initiative idiots. So the answer here is I like Trina and Nemesis better because Trina can stonewall their aggression forever. They're like, this is just a thing that when it shows up, it's done. That is how the game works. Furthermore, do I want any of this other stuff? This Deputy doesn't seem too bad. This Deputy exiling hollow ones or multiple Vengevines or Lizards seems pretty good. I may take that over a Plow. Opponent has no idea what our deck actually does. They saw Archon of Emeria and Malevolent Hermit and some Wastelands and Fast Mana. Friends, this is the beautiful thing about playing a brew in a format like Vintage. Sometimes opponent will just not know what you're doing. I don't hate it. If opponent decides to activate here, I will flash in Containment Priest in response. I will make them have the Force of Will in this 7, rather than allow them to draw with Bazaar and wait. I'm going to flash in here for mana efficiency. This is where they should activate Bazaar now. Yep. Okay. Rootwalla, Vengevine. I love that we have dismantled their hand. They're going to discard here. I don't feel any need to throw this Containment Priest away right now. I would much rather wait until we have something meaningful. If we had something like a Tabernacle or whatever to kind of back up this plan, I would be okay. Or a Force of Will, or... Right now we have nothing else going on. Double Squee, okay. So Tenarms, to the point we were discussing last night, this has been one of the primary issues I've seen. Even with all of the fast mana and the 18 land count, I have still seen some difficulty hitting mana. So, something worth noting. This is Lavinia. This will shut off future forces. So they have to force back. That's great for us. We're just going to jam another one next turn. The great thing about the hand right now is that it's very redundant. So we will have the opportunity to do all of these things again. Oh, I agree with you. I absolutely agree. And we saw that, like, I would rather shut them off of Bazaar for the sake of digging. Here I think I want to slam another Lavinia first. So this is going to shut off every single force, which is great. It's going to shut off future lizards, which is fantastic. This Lavinia is absolutely top-notch. Yep. This means that everything else is golden. The worst thing opponent can do is Wasteland or Strip us now, which is not great for us, but also not unbeatable. Their deck is just non-functional with the two of these in play. think we're gonna start this initiative battle. So I think in current board state we win the initiative battle. I think it's possible, Ten Arms, but I would rather... Like, Hull Breacher is very, very good here, but Hull Breacher is going to happen anyway. Yeah, game is very, very over. Opponent cannot do anything at all at this point in time. We're going to forge onto White Plume specifically. Here's a Hull Breacher. Hey, Ten Arms, I think we fixed this Squee matchup. All it took was Lavinia. Who knew? Sweet. Okay, to that end, is there anything different we want on the draw? I don't think so. I think that we're just fine on the draw, too. I do need to think about a little more reactive hands in the draw. I mean, I'm also a big fan of Lavinia. This seems great. I'm going to keep. I would prefer not to force pitch, but I will if I have to. Opponent has asked for our deck list. That's how you know we found a hot one. Okay. No, I'm not going to send them a mono red list. Please put a bunch of hollow ones into play, thank you. No, okay. Oh, hold on. This blowout is going to be savage. Baby, I love my life. And we have the deputy, let's go. Oh my god. Friends, we've done it. The deed has been done. Baby. Oh, our poor sweet opponent. Ten Arms, I think it's safe to say at this point we have 100% fixed this Squee matchup. This is nuts. Yeah, Tabernacle is busted in this format because the Bazaar Baghdad decks run very, very, very few mana-producing lands. Okay, so they have the strip. Okay. That might be the YouTube clip indeed. This strip mine is now incredibly taxed. Because this is the only colored mana source that means anything. I don't think it's worth it. I think that we have Force Pitch as backup. Even if we didn't, Terms, we just pitched this Deputy of Detention. This card is also blue, which is why I've chosen to play it. Okay. This feels like another one that is pretty over. Opponent has second Bazaar. Okay, that's good for them. I will cast this. If opponent wants to Vigor me, I will Force Pitch. Yeah, so my thought process behind Deputy was that I wanted something that could answer a random permanent. It was even better that it was blue. So this is functioning kind of in the same vein as something like Death and Taxes or previous mono white lists would use Skyclave Apparition. But it pitches to Force of Will and has the bonus text of hitting a bunch of things all at once. Opponent has hit a second Bazaar. There's a Fury. No, I don't think he will. I don't think you will, opponent. I don't think you will. Opponent has a Wasteland. That can hit the Tabernacle. Oh, that'll allow lizards to show up again. Okay. So opponent has used their one strip, which means this plains is safe, which is great for us. I would love to hit, like, any random mocks here. Any random mocks lets us go White Plume into basic island into Ancestral us, which I love. Funny enough, thinking about it now, it's possible that this list is actually better as Bant. And the reason being, Bant gives us access to step one being the Collector Roof, which is good. And Bant also gives us access to Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth, or yeah, something like that. And the reason I like the idea of Yavimaya is because Yavimaya would turn our Tabernacle into a mana-producing land. And I like that for us a lot. Yep. That'll be good for later. Also, I will warn anyone watching this, I would not play a deck like this at all if you don't have a high tolerance for playing Drago. This deck at its heart is a Hate Bears deck built for control players. You absolutely need to be willing to just like play a very slow... Okay, well that's unfortunate. Fury Pitch. That's okay. We can beat this. Opponent has 4 cards left. They're gonna grab Bloodghast here. That's not a thing we particularly care about. This double Bazaar is actually the scarier portion of this whole arrangement. So if opponent intends on double activating Bazaar here, they're going to run into a problem where they hemorrhage a bunch of cards. And that's pretty good for us. That's a lot of Vengevines. We can beat one of these. We're gonna take 8. Introducing the initiative here is terrifying. I'm not gonna lie to you. White Plume Adventure. Island. I'm gonna Ancestral me here. We're just dead. Okay. Unfortunate. That one was close. I need to... Excuse me just a moment. I'm gonna be right back. I need to make sure I message opponent. I can do this later. I was thinking about making sure I do it before I forget, because I will 100% forget opponent's username, but I can definitely reach out to them after the league. I will just keep that window open. That's unfortunate. I wonder if it was correct to let their Force of Vigor resolve. It's weird, but I think that that's actually a micro decision that really matters here. I decided to force their Force of Vigor to protect my Moxes. My Moxen, while I probably should have waited and just forced the Fury. Because I think if we force that Fury, we're in excellent shape. Lessons learned. Excuse me just a moment here. Oh, perfect. Opponent has messaged us. Excellent. Okay. Danny McBride. They have won the die roll. This is slow, but has a Force of Will into True Name into Dungeoneer. I think I'm going to keep... That's unfortunate. I'm gonna let this resolve. That's not a thing that particularly matters at this juncture. This one is gonna name Human. Then I'm just gonna pass. And once again, going to name Human. Okay. Okay. Please don't try to bribe me in my own stream. Thank you. I would appreciate if we don't do this whole, like, pay for viewers thing. Oh, we still can't do that. That's right. That now costs 4 mana. Okay. Opponent all of a sudden has a stop in my upkeep. That's actually much better. I will once again name human. I will cast Turn in Nemesis. I will name you. Please proceed. How does Chops beat this card? Like, real question. Oh, absolutely. It turns out Vintage is a much grindier format than people think it is. People have the notion that because Fast Mana exists and the format is, like, full of this kind of stuff, that you just die instantly. But the reality of the situation is that because of the nature of all of the Fast Mana and free counter spells and things like that, you can absolutely go forever. I had several games... if you look at the YouTube channel, there are several games in recent history I've had that have nearly gone to time. This is of minimal value. We don't care. Resolves. This is going to name Mox Ruby. Silex would work. Silex is not going to work because we have Force of Will, but Silex would work. attack, they go to 11. They attack me, I go to 10. I no longer win this race. I will stay back. I will stay back until we have constructed a board where we actually can turn this around. Andre, not quite. There are a lot of decks that try to play on different axes, where they would prefer to try to deny opponents fast mana and free spells. That's part of what this deck is doing. So you'll see cards like Lavinia Azorius Renegade. That actually means our opponent cannot cast their Mox. They cannot cast Moxen, they cannot cast Black Lotus, things like that. So all of that is particularly good for us. This is not particularly useful. I will pay 1. I will now play this Lavinia Azorius Renegade. I'm really just hoping to trade this Lavinia with Revoker. That's all I really want in my life, is just to trade Lavinia with Revoker. If opponent resolves Karn here, we're in bad shape. They cannot resolve Karn. I just looked at their mana. There's no possible way they resolve Karn. That's good for us. Black Lotus resolves. Yep. Okay. Yep. That's great for us, actually. I would love for you to do that, opponent. Please do. Please shut off my... Please block... Please turn on my Mox Ruby. Thank you. You turning on my Mox Ruby is one of the greatest things that could possibly happen for me. I would prefer if you do that. Thank you. Yep. Basic. Opponent has timed that well. That's real good for us. I think opponent has to sack their Lotus here, which is actually fantastic for us. Okay. Ooh, okay. Opponent has let that go. Baby. Alright. So, plow, plow, stony, 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 deputy. Hermit is of less value. I'm gonna cut some initiative idiots. Actually, I lied. I'm gonna cut some hull breachers. And then I have to take account for force of will. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's pretty low. Get a hull breacher back in here just for the sake of... Do I want a hull breacher or do I want a mind break trap? Let's try to match up our hull breachers here. That would be helpful. Sounds good. Thank you, Terms. Appreciate you. Okay. Okay. This hand has no fast mana, but has Wasteland. We're not doing anything until turn 3. I think I have to mulligan this. This hand is very, very soft to something like a Trinisphere or the like. I think I'm actually going to keep this. And here's the reason. This Wasteland has interesting value if opponent does decide to go for something like a Turtle and Trinisphere or Sphere Effect. We can just waste them, and opponent may have a hard time getting out from underneath their own lock piece. Mana Vault, sure. There's a Saga, yes. We'll just tag that instead. If the opponent plays something like a Golos, we have that covered. If they play something like a Revoker, we have that covered. Nettle Cyst. We have most of their like pretty generic threats covered. Strip Mine, that's unfortunate. Okay, that's a Sphere. Love to see a Mox. That is a particularly good Mox. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is gonna name Human because it basically doesn't matter. We're gonna use that to play this Mox. I want opponent to strip this land. This land is of pretty minimal value overall. Solarian Academy, sure. Okay. So we're gonna let opponent kind of keep doing their thing. I would love to get rid of this Academy. We had to get rid of that Saga because that was the clock that opponent presented. 7 mana. That's a Black Lotus, sure. That Black Lotus is of significantly lesser value to you now. I need to draw a land to get rid of this Golos. That's unfortunate. Golos getting Saga here is very good. Yikes. This is unfortunate. This is where we're going to get trapped. We are trapped under this combination of spheres. Opponent is going to make constructs with their Saga. Ancient Tomb, okay. I don't know why you're making that now. We have died. Okay. I don't want to change anything this way. I'm just going to go ahead and hit submit. So for anyone who's just kind of coming in, these Hull Breachers, while not good in the matchup, are pitch cards for Force of Will, which is very important. This is not good enough. Mulligan. This hand doesn't do anything at all. We're going to mulligan. I'm going to keep this hand. I'm going to ship this and this Hull Breacher, which is a minimal value. Ancestral. Okay. So this has interesting connotations. We can imprint this White Plume Adventure, and Deputy of Detention can exile the first relevant thing that they play. I think that it's just better for us to pass here. Okay. Mox, sure. Ghost Quarter, that's fine. Time Vault, sure. White Plume. This is going to give opponent a particularly hard time. Take the Time Vault. I'm gonna play this Otawara. With Lavinia in play, they're going to have a hard time resolving their spells. Okay. Okay. This is a Golos. Golos is going to resolve here. I would love to draw the other Deputy or a Plow. Academy is not bad for you, but it doesn't do as much as you want it to do because of Lavinia. Human here. Go to combat and attack with just Archon of Emeria. There's a lot going on here, and this is actually particularly good for us. Hardcast Force of Will, let's go. I have a feeling opponent is going to be supremely sad at that notion. Okay, that doesn't do anything at this juncture. Okay. Okay. Second Golos, sure. Sacrifice the old Golos since it attacked, that makes sense. Pseudo-vigilance here. What are we trying to get? Caracas makes sense because of Lavinia. Oh, Inventor's Fair, sure. Okay. So So eventually we have to draw some flavor of answer to this Golos. They're going to gain life here, which is relevant. It means our clock is cut in half. From a 3-turn clock to... Well, I mean, it's more like a... We have 1, 2, 3 now. Plus 1. It's like a 4-turn clock. Crucible of Worlds. That is unfortunate. All of their lands will be slow, so that's actually kind of okay for us. I'm not going to block this Golos, that's fine. Play Wasteland from Graveyard, sure. Okay. Hull Breacher. Okay. That was a mistake. Should not have attacked with this Deputy of Detention. I didn't even think about the key in play. That's pretty unfortunate. Yep, I just punted this game away by attacking with that Deputy of Detention. I should have just attacked with these two. They could have taken the Lavinia, and that would have been fine. I absolutely punted this game away. This is entirely my fault. I should have thought more about what's going on there. I wasn't paying attention to the manifold key. Didn't think about it. Got. In fact, we're just going to concede here. Alright, I'm going to be right back. Unfortunately, I really have to use the restroom, so I will be right back. We will finish up this league. Stay tuned, everyone. See you in a moment. And we're back. Sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, we punted that game literally because I had to go to the bathroom so bad I wasn't paying attention. But yes, no, there was no reason to attack with the Deputy there. We could have just attacked Lavinia and the Archon, or even just the Archon, and been just fine, flashed and Hull Breacher on their turn. Yeah, there was no reason to do that. I made a mistake because I was not playing my best. So that was on me. But again, I appreciate everyone for hanging out this evening. A lot of ways you could choose to spend your Tuesday evening. I'm grateful you've chosen to hang out with me. Principe, welcome. Appreciate you joining the stream. I have so many questions. Step 1, how? That is so many trophies, friend. Congratulations. That is incredible. So for everyone currently hanging out in chat, if you are familiar with the Vintage format, what is your favorite deck? And if not, what is it about Vintage that either really appeals to you or terrifies you? Please feel free to post in chat now. I am genuinely curious. I know that we were speaking with Andre Corbin earlier, and there was this conversation about kind of what Vintage is, and Vintage lasting until turn 7. Jewel Shops is fair. That deck is very, very sweet. We will probably play some Jewel Shops on the channel again in the very near future. I also have a soft spot for that deck because it draws so many cards. One of my favorite things in all of Magic is drawing the cards. Just all of them. What about the rest of you? What is your favorite deck in Vintage, or what is it about Vintage that absolutely terrifies you? What is it about Vintage that scares you away from the format? Personally, one of my favorite things about the Vintage format as a whole is that because everything is so powerful, nothing feels completely out of control. Caveat being, Urza Saga is a messed up Magic card. Why does it exist? But Saga aside, excuse me, I think that the beautiful thing about Vintage is that any busted thing you want to do is totally okay, because so many other people are doing so many equally busted things. If you have no feelings on the Vintage format as a whole, no fears, no joys, what is your favorite card in all of Magic the Gathering? Just every card ever printed, favorite one, go. I will answer mine here briefly. Too hard? This is easy money. I've answered this question on Twitter like a dozen times in the last week. So my favorite card in all of Magic the Gathering, out of every card ever printed, my favorite Magic card is Monastery Mentor. I love the flavor of the card. I love how powerful the card is. I love the art. Monastery Mentor is my favorite Magic card by a long shot. All right. Oh, Brian Kelly. Okay. All right, so we have run into one Brian Kelly. Oh, boo, Brian. Human. Dag Faden? Sure. Opponent has discarded their Jet and Ruby because they know we have Lavinia. So, it's interesting to play this Emerald out into this stack, but what's actually, like, kind of okay is that if opponent decides to DAC our Emerald, we can clock with and kill with Malevolent Hermit. So this is actually, like, a totally reasonable exchange here. Opponent is going to filter cards. So we started the evening with the remnants of this Riesling Tilken, which was a Riesling grape juice blended Belgian lambic. Then we moved on from that point to a Untitled Art Passionberry Cream Gluten-Free Sour, which is a passion fruit blueberry sour with vanilla soft serve. And then finally from there we've gone on... Oh, Minsk and Boo, that's unfortunate. This is going to be problematic. So from there we moved to an apple pie smooge, which is a smoothie hard seltzer. And now we're just drinking some Kirkland sparkling mineral water. Opponent's going to just try to clock us. That seems like a reasonable thing to want to be doing. Okay. We have made several choices as far as the worlds of adult beverage this evening. Okay. Sacrifice, draw 4 cards. Resolves. That's going to be a bad time for us. This is enough of a clock as... Oh! Can't say I'm surprised. Brian Kelly on Oath of Druids. That's going to be very, very good for us. Reminder that Boo is legendary. Opponent is looking for Oath of Druids. Brian Kelly on the Brian Kelly special with the card Peak. Narset Parter Avails. That doesn't particularly matter to us. That's fair. Opponent is on Breach in Oath. That's fine. There's a Saga. Okay. Grab a White Plume. I'm gonna have 6 here. Brian knows our hand. Yeah, Travis, I had some extra beer and other adult beverages that I was saving for tomorrow's event. But given that that is no longer occurring, I have opted instead to enjoy myself this evening and have a few. Okay. Opponent is going to take the initiative here. There's no point in blocking. I'd rather have the creature for the future. Going forward, we can just tempo the Minskin Boo using Caracas. Okay. Brian uses Pyrite Spellbomb to draw a card. Finds a basic island. Mox Pearl. Five mana. Sun Titan. Get back Renin 6? Oko. Sure, sure, sure. Turn Mana Crypt into a creature. We are in trouble here. This Sun Titan is very, very large. That seems very, very correct. I think we are in pretty poor shape, truth be told. There's a Black Lotus. There's a Wasteland. I'm glad that is entered tapped. Sun Titan is probably going to rebuy either Renin 6 or Spellbomb. Okay. Do that now so Brian doesn't get to draw more cards. Elking my Archon of Emeria. Plus his Minskin Boo just because. Okay. That's us dead. I'm gonna grab these Containment Priests, these Swords, and this Deputy. I'm gonna cut True Name. And then shave some Initiative creatures. I just want more answers to what opponent is doing. So Deputy can answer Oath and any creature that shows up. Containment Priest will stop Oath of Druids from triggering. I assume Brian is on Oath of Druids because of the presence of Orchard. We would love to play first. This is fine. I'm going to keep. Okay. We have telegraphed this Hull Breacher violently by naming Merfolk with Cavern of Souls. Black Lotus. Okay. Okay. Ancestralus. Okay. So I'm gonna grab a basic island here. We have 2 white sources as it is. Okay. Sure. Academy, very good. Time Walk, sure. If this is Time Walk into Oath, we could be in trouble. Green source means that that's quite possible. Brain freeze. Original copy targeting Brian. Okay. Milling 2 Force of Wills, that's good for us. Oko in a Breach, sure. Divining Top, yep. All of that is fine. We could see a 7's Reclamation here. A Reclamation would be pretty hard for us to beat because Brian could go, yep, white, 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 7's Reclamation, get back Underworld Breach. I've given Brian the GGs. We are not beating this breach. Pearl, Intuition, yep, we're very dead. Yo! Teferi's response. Counter target spell or ability an opponent controls that targets a land you control. For permanent abilities countered this way, draw 2 cards. That Emissary we can super beat. Alright. Well, that's us 0-4. We're going to play the last one because we're already here. But we are very, very, very dead. Again, I appreciate everyone joining. A lot of ways you could spend your Tuesday evening. I'm grateful you chose to hang out with me. Tonight we were testing a brew, which is Blue-White Initiative. I will kind of give some overall thoughts on the list after we finish the league. But, I mean, the results kind of speak for themselves. We're not doing super hot here. And I have some thoughts as to why that might be here in just a moment. But let's finish our last round and then we can kind of talk some more on the deck. Again, I do really appreciate everyone hanging out. I know I stayed a lot, and it almost seems like a meme at this point, but it really means a lot to me that all of you are here. Again, like I did at the beginning of the stream, I want to shout out to fan of the stream, Walrus Galt, who I ran into in the Vintage Tournament practice room last night. I do appreciate all of your support, and I appreciate all of your support in general. This is fine. I'm going to keep. I need one more mana here to make this hand really sing, but with one more mana we just slam this Archon, we have Force of Will backup, and we're in pretty good shape. Opponent has mulled to 6. That's a good start for us. Archon. Opponent is known for playing Oops. This is Lotus. Black, black, black. Sure, this is Therapy. Therapy will likely name our Force of Will. Since we played this land on Archon in past, opponent presumably has to believe that we have Force of Will available to us. Opponent has choices to make here. They can name the Archon that they can presume that we have because of this land, or they can name Force of Will to take the card that interacts with them on this turn cycle. If I were opponent, I know I would be naming the Force of Will, because that will protect you this turn if you can go off. It's possible opponent can't go off this turn, so maybe they do name the Archon. Surgical extraction. Interesting. You have failed. Dark Ritual, go to 4 mana. I will Force of Will. Opponent has Pact of Negation. We lose the game as long as the Oracle and the Dread Return are not in their hand. I will make opponent show me the cards. Cards revealed. Let's see. There is Dread Return. There is Thassa's Oracle. I will concede the game. I want Containment Priest, Stony Silence, Mindbreak Trap. I will cut things like True Name Nemesis. I will cut Malevolent Hermits. I will cut Swords to Plowshares. And then I will cut some of these initiative creatures. I will probably leave White Plume because I think it's better than Seasoned Dungeoneer just because of mana cost. Counting. Yeah, I'll cut this last White Plume for this Deputy as well. There's an argument here to bring in Aven Mind Sensor. Opponent is a Tinker Tutor deck. In fact, I think I will. No, this is also a Wizard. Wizard is a recurring creature type in our deck list. We'll play first. Okay. By putting this Lavinia into play, our opponent is going to have a really hard time playing this game. I will cast Lotus Petal first. I will name Human. I will play Lavinia, Azorius Renegade on turn 1 uncounterably. I dare you! Force of Will this Lavinia. Baby, let's go. You lost the game. We will run it back. Opponent Force of Will the card that was uncounterable and lost the game. I love that for us. So to talk this over real quick, Lavinia shuts them off of most of their deck. Their deck does not play that many lands. If the only lands they play are several of the modal dual-faced lands, including Agadeem Awakening and Seagate Restoration. And that's it. Most of their mana is produced through rituals and through artifact mana, which means Lavinia shuts off the vast majority of their deck. Opponent now understands that they have to counter. Okay. This is insane. We have a force effect. We have Lotus for Archon. I will keep. Opponent has also kept 7. Seagate Restoration tapped. This is Caracas. play this. I will play Archon of Emeria. This will make it particularly difficult for opponent to win the game. What do we think the chance our opponent has 2 forces? This means opponent cannot Charbelcher, opponent's Moxes mean nothing. This is all very good for us. Ancestral? Soul Ring. Sure, that doesn't do anything. You didn't have it last turn. I bet you don't have it this turn. Wasteland. Wasteland one of these. Play this Mox that doesn't really do anything at the moment unless you unlock this Stony. I will give you all a tip. The secret against Oops is you don't necessarily need to win the game, you just need to not lose the game. I will Time Walk here. This is Time Walk as Explore. So 2 of opponent's Seagate Restorations are down. They have just some artifact mana in play. I'm human. Cast Lavinia. Well, we'll take that. So that is a 1 and 4. We have beat Oops all spells and lost every other matchup, including Brian Kelly on Oath and various other piles of Magic cards. So, some things to address here. Let us go back and take a look at the deck list. So this is a list we played this evening. Again, we went 1 and 4. Some thoughts on the deck. First and foremost, Malevolent Hermit here was played as a counter spell that is uncounterable. This is a creature we can put in off Cavern of Souls, and then use as a kind of soft counter spell. Turns out it's pretty medium overall. I did mention at the beginning of this league that I would like to play a Jace Vryn's Prodigy, and I think that is still the case. Beyond that, the deck has some slight mana issues. We are playing 5 colorless lands in Strip Mine and 4 Wastes, and in doing that, it is a little rough on our blue-white creatures, our blue-white creature, our blue-blue creature. This is kind of difficult. Furthermore, Chrome Mox is a thing that I'm not 100% sold on yet. It's possible one of these could be Mana Crypt to make some of this stuff happen sooner. Things like Hull Breacher, White Plume, Archon, and Seasoned Engineer are very powerful, so I could easily see cutting a Chrome Mox for a Mana Crypt. The caveat with that, Mana Crypt comes at the cost that it does not cast Lavinia Azorius Renegade. It doesn't really help too much in casting True Nemesis and Deputy of Detention. And it's not great for casting things like Containment Priest, Swords to Plowshares, Stony Silence, etc. So, unclear if that is a thing that is supposed to be in the deck or not, but I would be interested in trying it. Again, Malevolent Hermit seems great on paper. We did counter a Time Vault with it, we did counter an Ancestral Recall with it, but pretty medium overall. Beyond that, I think the deck is a pretty interesting starting point. I think that you have some pretty disruptive creatures in Lavinia, and Archon, and Hullbreacher, and this Deputy of Detention, and things like that, but I do think it comes at a cost. I do think that this deck is generically less consistent than Mono White Initiative. The reason being is that the splash color really does... It costs you something. Much like playing these Cavern of Souls costs you something. They are not free. Cavern of Souls does not always help cast Lavinia, Hullbreacher, and Archon of Emeria. Cavern of Souls does not cast Ancestral Recall. It does not cast Swords to Plowshares. So Cavern of Souls comes at a real cost, just like Splashing Blue comes at a real cost. So I would say this is an interesting deck list. I think that there are some changes you could make to definitely improve it. One of the things that I had mentioned to Ten Arms when we were discussing this earlier this evening is the inclusion of something like Aether Vial. Aether Vial is really interesting because it's going to cast any of these creatures. It doesn't care what type they are. And it's going to do so uncounterably. The caveat that comes with that is that by playing Aether Vial, we are softer to something like Collector Oof. It means that we are not always necessarily going to get to use that Aether Vial. It also means that that's going to take multiple turns to tick up. Is that something that's okay in the Vintage format? I don't know. I hesitate to say that it is, because that is a big ask to just sit and wait. If I were to register a list like this with Aether Vial, I think my cuts would be the off-color Mox in Emerald, Jet, and Ruby, and then 1 copy of Crow Mox to play a full 4 copies of Aether Vial. Beyond that, I would replace one of these Malevolent Hermits with a copy of Jace Vryn's Prodigy, because I think that the filtering that JVP offers is more useful in general than this soft counter spell that half the time we can't even activate. So, again, I think this is a very, very interesting idea. It's something that's been kind of tearing through my brain for quite a while now, basically since these initiative decks popped up. I think that Seasoned Dungeoneer and White Plume Adventure are very powerful Magic cards. I do think that you need a good shell to support them, and I think that while something like this is possible, I don't think this is it. I think this needs some refinement. I will say I did like what Tabernacle and Containment Priest did together in the match against Squee. That is a matchup that's been particularly difficult for me playing mono-white, that felt much, much better playing blue-white. I will say that I punted the match against Shops by attacking with the Deputy of Detention that had exiled the Time Vault when I didn't need to. I think that we were in much better shape if I just did not do that. And unfortunately, that really, really cost me. So that is entirely on me. But, with that said, that is going to be it for me for the evening. I do appreciate you all hanging out. Again, there are a lot of ways you could choose to spend your Tuesday evening. I am very grateful you chose to hang out with me. Please catch me again on Thursday, where we will be running a new stream idea. That idea being looking at other digital TCGs, not Magic the Gathering Online, from the perspective of someone just entering that program, that TCG, and playing without spending an exorbitant amount of money to get into it, playing for free. So, something I've been thinking about for a while. I'm going to try that out. We'll be back with that again on Thursday, where we will be also using that day to celebrate my birthday, which is tomorrow. So, happy birthday to me, I suppose. I am turning 31, for anyone curious. And yes, so we will be back again on Thursday with some non-Magic related content, and then back again on Saturday with some more vintage. So, thank you, Travis. I appreciate it. Again, I appreciate everyone hanging out this evening. I really, really, really do appreciate all of your support, and I will see you all again very soon. Cheers, everyone. You have a fantastic evening, a fantastic week, and I will see you again Thursday. Cheers.